Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Sky, wonderful to see you here. I don't think you always get the recognition you deserve. I think there are people that don't even know your name. Despite the work you do for us, despite the role you play in this community. Sky, everybody, hand up for Sky. That'd be a lesson to some people.
Tell them about.
This isn't your time. So who's given up trying to convince their partner to consent to a menage a trois with them? Who's just given up? Yeah, you probably. I've been married 9 years. I haven't been able to convince my wife to try a three-way light bulb. A three-way light bulb is like one of those things that it just owning it like makes you feel dirty. You know, you're in the Home Depot and there's like the aisle of light bulbs. You know, it's a billion different kinds. And you're standing there and you get asked by the 16-year-old kid who knows absolutely nothing. Like, "Would it help you?" And you're like, "I need a light bulb." And he's like, "It's a fucking wall of light bulbs." I need a three-way light bulb. And there's like this silence. He's taken aback by the shocking perversity of your desires. Two, on, off, that's not enough for you. You need something else. You sick fuck. I would imagine that managing a concession stand means always having to say you're sorry. So I'm thinking about this. Jesus died, right? Then he came back 3 days later. And then he went away again, and before he went away the second time, he said, "I'll be back." And that was 2,000 years ago. So I'm wondering if there wasn't some confusion on Jesus' part about like how many times he got to die and come back. You know, and I say confusion on Jesus' part because I'm pretty sure God, being almighty, omniscient, all-powerful, was pretty clear describing the general arrangement of things. And Jesus is divine, but it's still a father-son relationship. And you know how you revert back to that like role you played, the dynamic when one of you was 15 years old? So I'm thinking that's what happened. And God said, "Okay, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make you half human. We're going to send you down, do a few miracles, attract some attention, and then explain to people that they got to stop fucking with each other just because they're different. They got to learn to work together. They got to basically love each other just like they love themselves, all right? Get that across. I've written it all up here. And then here's what we're going to do. There's tons of fucking crazy people doing the same thing. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to die, and then we're going to bring you back 3 days later. That's going to seal the deal, all right? Then you're going to say to them, okay, I'm out of here. It's up to you. You got to learn that shit and help each other get along because that's all. We're out of here. We exist, but we're not coming back." And then Jesus is like, "Are you listening to me?" "Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm listening. No, totally." And down he goes. And then, you know, he comes back and finally he's like, "Oh, that was awesome. That was so great. Oh my gosh, and when do I go back?" And God's like, "What do you mean, when do you go back?" Jesus is like, "No, I told him I was coming back. I thought it would be fucking awesome. I'd like go back every maybe couple of years, like hang out. I was coming together for me, you know, like people knew my name. And like the miracles were working awesome. It was really cool. I had like lots of people starting to follow me. And God's like, "What'd you fucking tell them?" Jesus said, "I told him I was coming back. I thought it'd be cool." God said, "Oh, you're kidding me. You told him you're coming back." Jesus said, "Look, what's the problem? Why don't you just send me back?" God said, No. You know what? Forget it. We're going to wait a little while. I'm going to send Muhammad. That'll straighten everything out." I do hate anthropologists of the future. Present-day anthropologists. I've seen a reasonably nice crowd of people. Anthropologists of the future. Fuck them. That's why we keep all of our lawn equipment on our roof. That's why I built a shrine to marmalade in our house, with lesser jams and jellies representing other deities. That's why every piece of clothing in our house is hung upside down and backwards and inside out, if possible. Our vegetables we keep in pouches, sewn into the skin of our pets. My basement holds a distillery specially adapted for the fermentation of yak semen. They'll never figure this shit out. And if they do, what do they figure out? They'll figure out that there was a guy, eons ago, who hated them so fucking much that he was willing to spend every night of his adult life sleeping on a bed made entirely of pogo sticks. Anthropologists of the future. Met Obama once. It's true. I met Obama. Shook his hand in the White House. In the White House. It was one of the many benefits of being married to my wife, who worked her ass off for Obama, and was sent two tickets for a holiday party. And I was fortunate enough. I don't know how much discussion or thought there was in her head, but I was given the second ticket. It didn't specify it had to be me. It was like, bring whoever you want. It's a Democratic Party. Like, we understand you might not want to bring your spouse. We didn't put a name on the ticket. You don't even have to tell him. But it ended up being me. And we're down there in the White House. And it's fantastic. It's beautiful. I found out that, in fact, there are many White House Christmas parties or holiday parties, one every couple days from what I gathered, and that they're themed to different people. So all the volunteers were at this one, another one might have, I don't know, all the wildlife workers or whatever. And these were a frequent event. But it's beautiful. But the president and the various people who are part of the president's family aren't standing around. They are rather downstairs because there's a receiving line. And there's a story. Was that one or two or three? There was three? Don't ever work on an aircraft carrier. I'll be, what the fuck is she trying to... Gathered every day to remember the fine airman who was sent off the plane by Jessica Parkland. Sorry. I know what that means. Okay. Sorry. Don't crowd work the host. That was one of the things in the comedy video that I watched. But we're down there, and suddenly there's a receiving line, and there's a machinery that you're put into, and it's magical because you're happy, but nevertheless you are in a machine, and the machine is proceeding towards the president and the first lady, who are going to shake your hand. We are ushered down to a room which is oval in shape. I was kind of cool. It wasn't under the Oval Office, but it was an oval room, and it led me to wonder if maybe one time the White House had only oval rooms, like that was the original idea, and they were like, this is not going to fucking work. This is ridiculous. Let's just keep the office, because that's kind of cool, and then the downstairs room that we roller skated in, keep that oval. And we were in that basement room, and so we're snaking around, and it's just a remarkably organized and systematic procedure. You have like so many seconds, and there's the president, he's shaking your hand and having some words, and we're moving around. And now I have to take an aside here because maybe you know or share this sort of feature, maybe you don't, but I have no idea what any of your names are. That's how my brain works. You might be family to me. I might have actually sired some of you, but I don't know your name. I'm very bad with names. So I'm always, as I am approaching other people in public, if I'm with my wife, I'm asking her whose name that is who we're approaching and asking her to help me. And so I thought it'd be funny, as we're going along in the line here, to ask her to lean over and say to her, Michelle, man, what is Michelle? And she turned to me and said, Obama, Barack Obama. Not happy, but I thought it was pretty funny, and that's really the guiding light that I live my life by. And I said, no, Obama can't be his, what? Barack, which one's his first name? I think it's Obama Barack. I don't know. Now she's not paying attention to me, and in fact I look up and there's a guy raising his wrist to his mouth. in any other context, somebody speaking into their mouth, their wrist while they're looking at you, that's sort of weird behavior at a party. I don't know what the guy's on, but he's talking to his wrist. In the White House, that's the worst possible thing that can happen. There are people who the last thing they saw before they were put into a burlap bag and deposited in like a salt plane in Venezuela was some guy talking into his wrist. And I've seen some guy like talking to the wrist like this. And so I shut up right away. And then suddenly, actually, I'm shaking hands with Obama. I've been moving along, and this is, in fact, the punishment for my little mayhem. I've got one hand on his hand and another hand, and I say to him, "Thank you for," and I have no idea how I'm going to finish that. I thought, he's black. Well, I couldn't thank him for being black. It's not accurate. He's half black, but I couldn't thank him for being half black. That didn't sound even better. So I said to him instead, "Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything."